so wonderful to have such a beautiful lineup of guests today. We've got Aksha, we've got Madhu ma'am, and of course, Shreyas. It's wonderful to see you, Shreyas. I think after what 3, 4 years we're meeting online, so it's wonderful to see you again.
Yes, yes, it's been a long time, Anuj. Yes, you're right.
Absolutely well. Congratulations on Kartam Bhugtam. It looks like a very intriguing watch. I mean, I'm absolutely a sucker when it comes to psychological thrillers. Shreyas, you are definitely no stranger when it comes to doing this sort of horror genre because you've had experience of doing that. But here, when you're playing a character who's ambitious but yet is also trapped with past deeds and having to pay for those past deeds, uh, how much of a rather twisted experience was it actually to really explore something along those lines?
Twisted experience.
Well, I guess the twists are more in the plot, considering it's a fantastic thriller that Soham has written. But for me as a character, I think the journey was quite exciting. To play someone who seems like a non-believer, overconfident, who believes more in science than the astrology part of it, and then how things start changing for him with one line, which one person is not even related to, he doesn't even know that guy, and he just randomly says that you won't be able to go back, and
Hmm.
how that line starts changing him and his persona, his confidence gets shattered, and then how he starts becoming an addict of the same thing that he used to not really believe in, and why is all of this happening? Is it his karma? Is it something else? Is it really something to do with the stars and the alignment and everything? So what exactly is it, and what he does eventually to get out of that particular trap is what the story is all about. So I think the journey of Dev Joshi for me was extremely exciting, to show his confident side, to show his vulnerable side, to the point where there's a line in the trailer which says that जब खुद के ऊपर से भरोसा उठ जाता है तो आदमी ज्योतिष का सहारा लेता है. So to reach till that point where he's no longer confident about himself, he has no faith in himself, I think that journey for me was extremely exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it definitely sounds it. I think it's quite interesting because we recently had this Kannada film called Blink, which is obviously now streaming on Amazon Prime, which also talks about time inversions and it talks about if you could change things in the past, how would it interfere? And I'm really liking the fact that Indian cinema is now sort of picking up on such subjects and talking about it. I think when it comes to Soham's choice of the lead actresses, Aksha, if we look at, for example, La Adata and Esha Deol in Kaal or even Shruti Hassan in Luck, they've always played a very essential part of the narrative, where almost the twisted atmosphere of what he's trying to present has a big influence on them. So
Hmm.
your part in this film as well, to what extent does whatever happen in the main character's life actually impact you as well? And how for you as an actor to navigate that? How tough was it for you?
I mean, it is all related. All our characters get are connected to Shreyas's character in some or the other way, and how we influence his journey is very is it's very beautifully weaved into the script by our director Soham Shah. And I feel like you rightly pointed out that he has even in the past and even now he's defined his female characters very well, like in the past, even in this film, for that matter, Madhu ma'am's character as well as mine. It's very beautifully weaved into the script, and it's just a pleasure to work with directors who who don't treat women actors like, I mean, I don't want to say it. I mean, I just feel like, it should never be like, okay, this is a female protagonist, or it should never be spoken about. A protagonist is a
Yeah,
protagonist, and
100%.
it doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female. Every character is extremely important, and every character is very beautifully weaved into the script. So I really appreciate the way he's done it, and I'm thankful that we get to be a part of a film like that.
No, definitely, absolutely. But going by the trailer, if there's anyone who's left me in a lot of intrigue, I think Madhu ma'am, it's probably your character. I think we might have seen glimpses of it, and I was just like thinking, okay, what is Roja doing here? Like, what is,
What is Roja doing here?
I mean, that was just my initial thoughts. But of course, Madhu ma'am, I mean, you are an actor par excellence, and obviously, it's such a pleasure to see you as always.
Thanks so
But
much.
again, for you to work in a psychological thriller of this nature, where there is so much mystery attached from what we've seen, what helps you to actually bring in that mystery as well, in your actual life? Or is it just you're reliant on the script at hand and the director and his commands as well?
You see, I have never written a role for myself. I have
Hmm.
never directed myself or found a story for myself. So whatever I've been doing is what someone else is thinking I should be doing.
Hmm.
Whatever roles I've played, it's the director who thinks that, oh, she can play this. So that is very exciting. अच्छा, तुमने मुझे इस role में देखा. Like पूरी दुनिया मुझे, they look at me in a certain way. But you're looking at me like this old, not the way I appear to you right now. He saw me in a very different way. And that for me is very exciting. Then how did you see me like that? And then I take it upon me. I always tell people that I don't choose my roles. The roles come to me, they choose me. And that is how this one also has come. Soham thought I would be good for it. And as I heard the story, it's just brilliant. I just thought it was brilliant. And I feel so grateful that I got this role at my doorstep. So
Hmm.
that's the way I take my films. I don't go about looking for them. They come kind of looking for me and they knock at my door. And then I say yes, like I always do. And this particular role took a little bit of creating with the director because there are many beautiful moments that we had to do it together, the director and I. And the best part is that the director gave me a big scope to create it the way I think. Because, he's got very different actors here, like Shreyas and Vijay Bhai and all of them. And then I wanted to take a different meter to my role. And he allowed me to do that. He discussed it with me and we put it together. So it was very interesting and exciting, the process for me.
Sure. I think what's also really beautiful is that we are now seeing films which I think in a way are introspecting on our roots and what has led to initial decisions as to why we have become the people we are and living in the world that we are. And I think Kartam Bhugtam in that sense really does emphasize that and is a testament to that. I think Shreyas, for you, why do you think we're seeing such stories now, which are very so introspective? Because I think it's very fascinating to see how even now these introspective stories, which are more rooted, now actually surfacing on the mainstream, and they're getting a lot of love now. So, what do you think is contributing towards it?
I guess change is the only constant, and the kind of exposure that we have to international content, of a content from around the world at our fingertips today, is has been a great influencer for us also. Whether it is OTT or films or wherever, I mean, whatever content is being produced today, we just trying to, one is how can we be more different, yet at the same time how can we be more original, and what is that story that people will relate with, has been the major driving force for all of us. So yes, initially there was a time when if a love story worked, then there was a wave of love stories being made. If an action film worked, then only action films were made. Similarly, there was a way of comedies also. I remember in 2000,
Mm,
Hera Fairy worked, and then there was a wave of multiple comedies and multi-star comedies being made, and I have been part of, quite a bit of them. But I guess then, we started exploring what else can we do. So similarly, I think this is just one more thought of, I want to tell a story which is probably associated with maybe astrology, but I want to do it in a manner where I don't want it to be preachy. I want it to be a thriller genre. And also Soham's personal experience, he keeps telling that his cousin had to go through something like this in his life, and that is what has inspired him to, write this particular story and then eventually make a film out of it. So I think we will keep doing that. Like they say that there are 7 main stories in this world, right? We just keep changing the permutation
Recycling.
combinations, and yeah, so that is what we keep doing, and that is what
And
we will keep doing eventually.
also, I do feel that our movies are a reflection of our society and where we are at that point. So today, if you see, all conversations are spiritual on a lunch table. Ladies' kitty parties, we are talking about affirmations and manifestation.
True,
I
actually.
mean, I'm just making it very light. I'm sorry about that. But what I'm trying to be on a very correct, serious note, we are all our conversations are spiritual, our experiences is all talk. Conversations are all about faith, and therefore it's very natural that to see a movie that's talking about karma and Kartam and Bhugtam, what goes around comes around. It's what we are all talking, aren't we? That's why the subject is so interesting, because I think this is one of, just the first that's coming out. But it is exactly where we are very well poised to receive it, because in our real life we are all trying to understand that what we cannot see or understand. Everybody's talking about things, ye mere saath hua, I went to ye mandir mein gayi thi, or this baba came and this happened. Everybody has got a magical mystical story at this point in their life. So that's why it's time that we see something like this on screen, because movies are a reflection of our society and of us, right? Shreyas, you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And Soham, if you look at his filmography, whether it is Kaal or Luck, his films have always been a little ahead of their times.
Yeah.
And in fact, when he tells us that some people saw Squid Games and they called him and said, "Oh my God, you've already attempted that in Luck way before."
So true.
So this time, in fact, we told him that just be with the times. Enough of
Yeah, he
being
is with the
ahead
time.
of the times. So this story is pretty relevant to the times that we are living in, because I guess all of us tend to get vulnerable at some point in our life, and we want that external support which will just give us some kind of a faith in ourselves more than anything else. So I think this story, again, not a preachy story, it is just the backdrop, but the whole thriller element associated with it is what is very fascinating about it.
Indeed. Now, I'm glad, Madhu ma'am, you jumped in, because I wanted to actually come on to you, because I think for you, if there's anyone who's actually seen the evolving sort of landscape of contemporary mainstream mainstream Hindi cinema, at least, it's you. I mean, at the time, I mean, back in the 90s, obviously, he did such amazing films, not just, of course, in Hindi, in South also, and so many other pan India. And I'm going to talk about the whole pan India movement as well in a bit. But I think for you, from doing films that you did back then to seeing, like, for example, a film like this, sort of trying to reach the masses and that commercial sort of have that commercial feel as well to it, how satisfied do you feel with the way it's all evolved? And what do you think could be better when it comes to reaching the masses, perhaps, in the terms of the subjects that we're already exploring?
You know what will resonate with the masses and how much they take to it, that we will never know till we know. How a person responds, how the masses or the audience or the public responds to our product, we will know when we know, in a few days. But one thing I can tell you, that when everybody associated with a film, sometimes you get very excited, but everybody, I have been a part of movies where I thought this is the best role of my life I'm performing. But in the end, when I see, I said, kahan hai jo maine kiya tha, wo to, I can't see what I have done. So, there are so many people who work in front and behind to create this one product. So many people's sensibilities and destinies and, everything has to align itself, come together to create that what we call is amazing, right? So I have been a part of, sometimes I have not been into it. I may have been distracted, but suddenly that movie is a big hit and people are saying, wow, you were amazing. And I'm like, oops, was I? Really? But the other people took over and I clicked in that. Sometimes I think I'm doing my best, but something else did not work. And so in this film, to see whether how much we reach the public audience and what, I do not know. But I can assure you, the excitement, the honesty, the sincerity, firstly to start with the captain of the ship, because he holds the energy. So many times I've been with actors, we bring in the best, but then you see that the director is not, he's creating, whatever his constraints are, whether it is the money, whether it's the producer, whatever his issues are. But we sense that the best is not coming from the other side, and then we lose our interest. This is definitely not that. Our captain, Mr. Soham Shah, from day one till today, he's holding that passion and energy. And just yesterday, I had a conversation with him. Of course, this movie, if it does well, for me, in a very selfish way, it would be amazing. For all our actors, it will be amazing. But I really feel this should do well for our director, because he never lost his energy and passion and sincerity for this product. So to answer your question in short, that how do we reach the audience and how do we strike the right note, that we will never know. But if we believe in it and put in our best and hold our passion and energy, so at least till it goes out of our hands, we know we've done it. And if that energy clicks with the audience, then it is amazing. And in this case, I pray it does. That's all I can.
Beautifully articulated. Thank you so much. Aksha, I think for you as well, it's quite interesting how, again, we were talking about commercial and then also finding that subjects-driven, sort of content. I think you definitely represent that as well to an extent with the sort of filmography that you've had. And you began, I believe, as a child artist in Musafir, I believe, which was like, 20 years it's going to be this year. Can't believe it's gone, blown by. But I think for you, the sort of trajectory that you've had as well in your journey, how much has that really taught you, especially from such a young age, to really learn about the dynamics of the industry as well? And I think doing a film like this, do you think it really cements everything that you've learned as well so far?
Honestly, like your previous question to Madhu ma'am was, you have seen a kind of a change in cinema from the time that she was, when she started out till today. I feel like not only for her as an actor, but also for me as a consumer, because I've watched films all my life. I think I came out of my mother's womb just wanting to watch films, and I think that's been my entire passion. And I feel like even I as an audience have seen cinema change since the time I've started watching films and understanding films. And I just feel very grateful to be a part of cinema at this point of time where so I did get to live my dream of doing the song and dance and romance and all of that in the films that I did in the South. But also when I reached a point of saturation, I also took that time to kind of come over here and do different things. And I think it's a great time to be part of cinema right now, because it's grown so much. And like just like they all said, it's a reflection of society, and it's also a great time to be an actor, because there are so many writers, so many wonderful creators, who are exploring stories from the heart of India and from like the roots of India. And you're just getting to explore so many different stories and so many different characters. And just to be a part of a film that is so relatable at this point of time, Kartam Bhugtam is something that it's a film that I think everyone is going to relate to, not only in India but in all the countries that it's releasing. And because karma is a concept that it's a universal concept, and it's something that lots of people have different spiritual beliefs, a lot of people follow different religion, but I think karma is a universal concept. And I think at some point of time, all of us have gone through low and high phases in our lives, and we've always looked for answers as human beings. And I think that concept is very relatable, and that's what we're trying to show in this film. So I am really grateful to be a part of a film that is so true to reality and so true to, it could happen to you, it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. So I think it's a wonderful concept and a wonderful story to be a part of, and I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. I think for you all, how have you learned to deal with downsides, whether that's in your life, whether that's career, especially you, Shreyas? Because I think one thing that I've known about Shreyas, I mean, from the brief interaction that we had in an interview that we did during pandemic time, is that he's a very positive person. That's one thing that I've understood from you. Is that what helped you as well to deal with the downsides as well, Shreyas?
See, again, the same concept comes to the fore, right? What goes around comes around. So whatever goes up has to come down. What goes down has to go up at some point in time. You just have to wait for it. I believe in one very simple philosophy is that if you want to score a century, then you should be there on the pitch and not lose your wicket, right? I mean, of course, there are going to be some dot balls, but then you will get certain balls which you can hit for fours and sixes and things like that. And I think
Mm.
at such times, it is only your family uh, which you need that support more than anything else, is what I feel, because you need someone close to you, someone who understands you, to have faith in you, because you kind of are losing faith in yourself and your abilities, and you start feeling that probably I'm not right in the right profession, I need to quit and start doing something else because this is not working for me. But
Mm.
that is the time, when you need to be there, because like they say, the night is the darkest before dawn, so you the world's turning around, and the time's going to change. You just have to be patient enough to wait for that and keep doing your stuff, keep doing your karma, because you never know what that is which will click and work in your favor. For example, in my case, I think there were certain things that didn't really work for me, some of my films, but then there were films like Kon Praveen Tambe, or
Yeah.
that was actually going to be made in Marathi at one point, and then they decided to do it in Hindi. Then they in a way shelved the project was not happening, and then it was just suddenly revived back, and there it was on Disney Hotstar with whatever max views and things like that. And then there's something like a Pushpa, which
Mm.
out of the blue comes and changes the entire identity for you. So you never know what that is that'll help you, catapult you to something else. So you just have to keep your fingers crossed, keep praying, have the
Mm.
faith, be with your family at that point in time, and keep doing your karma.
Sure.
I think our life reflects our belief system. So I choose the belief system that works for me. So if you see my Instagram, what you call the status or whatever, it says "fake it till you make it," and I, and I truly believe it. When you ask me how are you, I'm going to shout on top of my voice and say I am amazing. Even when I've got the headache, I will tell you I'm fine, I'm amazing, because you are not my doctor who's going to treat my headache. So you don't need to know about my headache. So I believe in shouting what I want in my life so loudly that
Yeah.
somehow it becomes my habit. It's become my personality. I want to be happy so bad, at even on the days when I'm not, I say it so loudly that I become happy. And
Yeah.
another thing, on a very different note, I find joy in very small things. It is
Mm.
the big things that make you feel whether you've achieved, you've lost, you failed, or you are successful, or you're not successful. Those are the big issues. But you wake up and you go for a walk and you do your yoga and you play with your little doggy who came now scratching. Go to your children's school and teach. I taught dance and drama in my children's baby schools because I'm a dancer, I'm an artist. I don't need big platforms to dance. I danced in my children's kindergarten stage to entertain 3-year-olds who don't understand Bharatnatyam. But I love dancing, and I got a stage, and I got 5-year-olds clapping for me.
Oh, no,
You
but
know,
it's true.
so
Yeah.
it is about small things in life that give me big
Yeah.
joy, and I never lose that. And big things when they happen. For example, very recently I saw the hoarding of Kartam Bhugtam right below my house on Kemp's Corner.
Mm.
After years and years and years, there's a film of mine that has a hoarding on the main spot. I stopped the car, I jumped out in the middle of the traffic, I taped that hoarding and I talked about it and I put it on my Instagram. It is my joy. So to
Yeah.
feel joy in small things, that is how I tide by my life. Whatever happens, whether I have a huge fight with my husband, next morning at 7 o'clock, I'll be doing yoga. And that irritates my husband even more because his day is gone. He's fought with me. We've not said sorry to each other. We've not made up. We've not patched up. But my normal routine of my walk and yoga doesn't change. So, what I'm trying to say is the power of small habits has really helped me.
Right. I think on a finalish segment, actually, I want to talk about the Pan India movement that's happening. And I think Kartam Bhugtam actually also represents that because It's releasing in different languages as well. And I think you all, as artists, are pretty much the representative, and I think also the trailblazers, I think, in that department too. And I think it's so wonderful to see that happening. This whole pan-India movement that we're seeing, the fact that now globally India is recognized as one entity, as a cinema.
Pan India movement, it's
Oh,
a new name that we've given something that has been coming along for a long time. Of course, it has changed its colors a little bit. Earlier, all the movies, when they were dubbed, they had a very, like we called it, a dubbed film hai. So yeah, so in the old days, there were these things that, dubbed film, and they didn't enjoy that respect. And even the dubbed films were done in a very poor manner. Some of the South movies, when they were dubbed, the voices didn't match, the accent, the acting didn't match. So it had a very poor name. Today, it's come to a place where it's done like you can't even tell whether the actors are talking in Hindi or Tamil. The lip sync and the actor's voice, like very recently, Pushpa has become the greatest rage, and none less than Shreyas, the actor, has given the voice. So, the actor, the performer, the actor performer, it doesn't come across like a dubbed movie. It enjoys the same respect as the original film. So it's nice that the whole Indian cinema has, whether you make a Tamil movie or a Malayalam movie or a Orissa movie or a Hindi film, everyone everywhere is watching it. So it's very nice to become one cinema now, Indian cinema. The only thing I feel sometimes in a very childish way or a selfish way is like in the old days, if Amit ji made a hit film, down south, Rajni sir made the same remake of the film and he acted it in his way, and that was beautiful. It's the same story created by different actors, different industry. I also enjoyed that. The remakes. The story was a hit in one region, and then all the regions made that. So that had its own flavor. But having said that, today I feel very proud to say that we are not South Indian industry or a North Indian industry or a Hindi industry. We are Indian cinema. And coming together as one has a lot of strength, even in the global recognition. So there are a lot of South Indian movies and other language movies are being shown. In fact, there's a film of mine, a South Indian Malayalam film. They are taking it to the festivals abroad. So, they recognize us now as Indian cinema, Indian representation. So, which is a great place to be at this point.
Right. Beautifully wonderfully, wonderfully put. What about you, Aksha?
there are stories being made, and beautiful stories at that, being made all over India, whether it's Punjabi cinema, Malayalam cinema, Telugu cinema, and Hindi cinema, of course, Marathi cinema. And I really feel that it's going places, maybe because of OTT and maybe because of the fact that Indian films are now taken much more seriously than they were before. I mean, when Natu Natu went to the Oscars, nobody was discussing that it's a Telugu film. Everybody said it's an Indian film and an Indian song. So I think that is something that is a welcome change. We're all one industry. It's just like India is one country with different languages. Similarly, it's an Indian cinema with different languages. So I think it should be treated like that. And I think that it's amazing that language is no longer a barrier. I mean, I could be watching a Malayalam film with subtitles and could be really enjoying it. So I feel this is a welcome change, and I think it's amazing to be recognized as Indian cinema instead of South Indian, North Indian, or Hindi cinema.
A lot of South Indian films were dubbed, and that's how we saw them here on our satellite channels, and that's how we got to know about a lot of actors down south. Okay, the stories down south. And of course, initially, people would say, "Arey, South Indian film hai, bahut zyada loud hai, vagara, vagara." Eventually, they got used to it. They started enjoying it. My mother, for example, she has watched almost all the South Indian films dubbed in Hindi. I think what we need to do now is, consistently keep making our films and, keep releasing them pan India, so that, like we said, I mean, it is an Indian film industry, but we want the entire India to enjoy that piece of work that we are doing. So we just need to keep doing it consistently, because you never know, sometimes some people tell me that Pushpa has done more business in Hindi than in Telugu. I don't know how true that is, but you never know. For example, even Kantara, for that matter, the kind of business that Kantara has done here is phenomenal, right? So you never know which film in Hindi language also might just work in the Kannada territory or the Telugu territory and might do some phenomenal business, because eventually we need to keep expanding our markets and revenues for producers and everybody involved with the film, right from the spot boy to the producer. Everyone needs to start earning, and that will only happen if we keep growing our markets, and that will happen if we consistently keep releasing films pan India.
And it's true actually, because right now there's a bit of a dry patch as well, isn't there? I think in terms of the big sort of Bollywood films like not releasing as well. There's been so many different conversations that's happening in the industry, Shreyas. I mean, I think maybe you might be able to give an insight here. Why do you think there is a bit of a shortage? Do you think it's clearly because there's no dearth of talent? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's brilliant. There's an abundance of talents and creativity. What do you think is perhaps things have slowed down a little bit? Why do you think that is the case, and what do you think can help it?
I think it's the money economy aspect of filmmaking that's made everyone afraid, because everybody's starting to believe that to bring people to the theaters, you have to spend a lot of money and create VFX and have bigger, larger than life kind of a show, and that requires a lot of money. Then you need to have the superstars whose names will bring people into the theater, so they are very expensive. So the whole money aspect, and then the theater cost has become expensive for moviegoers. So I think eventually the business of movies has become very expensive. So on all account, I think everybody has to take charge, take note of the cost factor. And maybe then, because like you said, people like going to the cinemas. People like going to the cinemas with their family. It's a family outing. But what stops makers from making is because they don't think they can make a film in X amount. They need X plus X plus X to make a film. And the people who want to go to the cinema, they don't think that they can go to a cinema for 2 hours or 3 hours for X amount. They need to spend X plus X plus X. So it's always that X's. I think that is creating it's not the creativity. There are a lot of amazing stories 100%. To be told, and there's a lot of creativity to be exploited and enjoyed. I don't think there is a dearth there. I think we've gone wrong with the economic bit of it.
Economics, yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with Madhu, ma'am. I think it's the economics that is not wrong. See, also every film deserves a particular budget. If it should be made in, let's say, 10 crores, then you cannot end up spending 100 crores on that subject, because that subject has a life of 10 crores and it will fetch you that 10 crores. But if you end up spending 100 crores on that, it's not worth it. Similarly, theaters, whenever we've had a day or two of 100 rupee tickets, all the shows of all the films have majorly been houseful. How does that happen? So clearly people want to go to theaters and watch films in theaters because that is an experience in itself. But if you start selling tickets at, let's say, 1,000 rupees or 800 rupees and start selling popcorn at 500 rupees, that's not really going to work in their favor, right? Yeah. So 100%. I think somewhere we need to come together and understand the fact that this is not working for us. Okay, so what do we need to do to get people in? And we've seen clearly when the rates were low, people really flocked to theaters. So why don't we try that for a bigger chunk of the time when we release a particular film? And that, I'm sure, is going to pretty much help. Having said that, I think whoever wants to go to theaters and watch a particular film will go to theaters and watch it. The people who are watching it on OTT were probably watching earlier on satellite channels, and they were probably earlier watching it on DVDs and things like that. But whoever wants to go to theaters will go to theaters. See, with every advent of a new technology or a new platform, like how DVDs came and then satellite channels started showing films, and then now OTT. So obviously there is competition, and someone is going to be ahead in the race for some time. But eventually there's going to be a time when theaters will come back, because I think those are our roots. Like you said, we're trying to go back to our roots in some way. And at some point, those are our roots and we cannot leave them. We go back to theaters.
Absolutely. Well, look, on that note, our conversation has come a full circle, believe it or not, just like the film. Right. So thank you so much, Shreyas, Aksha, Madhu ma'am, for joining me on Filme Shilmy.
Thank you.
Such a beautiful
interview.
And I've always wanted to interview Madhu ma'am as well. It's always been a dream of mine because I love Roja so much. I watched it in Hindi, actually, as a matter of fact.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anuj. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, guys.